Okay, brilliant. Right, that's recording now. I will share screen again. Okay, so as I said, your teacher dashboard is here, and the core actions you can take actually are along the top of the screen. The first thing that I wanted to point out at the moment with you distance learning with your students is the lessons feature. Now, I know that many of you are probably already up and running sending lessons, but I thought I would just run through this super quickly for those people that are new to it. So there are two ways that you can send lessons to your students. One of them is by creating a brand new lesson, starting from scratch. The other one is by pressing Find Lessons. And this is going to launch your lesson hive. And in here, we have a selection of lessons that teachers and ourselves have created over the years, just like this New Zealand fantail bird. So they could be based on anything at all. They could be on something scientific, or they could be on something historical, or it could just be a skills-based writing lesson that you're sending out about adjectives. And when you launch these lessons, the children can work through them, they can answer quiz questions, they can read details about the information that you're sharing with them, and they can also now play the sound
describing creatures in the night zoo
of what is on the slide in front of them. You can also embed videos in this, and I'll show you that in the creation tool in a moment, and ask children to complete writing challenges. And I will also tell you where you can find out what the children have submitted to those questions. So that is super simple. So if you're ready and you want to send this lesson, you just hit send, hit the green tick, hit the green arrow, and then you can either send to all students, or you can unselect that, hit the students you want to target with this lesson, and press send. That's then going to push that lesson out and just to that particular student. So you need to be careful with that, just to make sure that if you do want to send to all, that is selected. Okay, so now on to creating a lesson. With this feature, at the moment, you're probably looking for ways to deliver the content that you would like to teach. It might be specific planning that you have for the weeks ahead. And for this, you could use our lesson creation tool. It allows you to upload your own images or choose from one of the images that we have here. And then it's really, really simple. It's just a slide builder, really, just quite similar to Google Slides or PowerPoint. That's how you can think about it. You can add these components. So you could add description. You can add titles. And then I will show you how the video works. So basically, you could either record a video yourself, or you can put a link in from YouTube. So I will show you that, as it's nice and quick for me. I have a video here ready. If I just put in that there, then it embeds it in the slide for you. So one of the things that I would suggest that would be useful at the moment is if you are able to record videos of yourself, either from your laptop or from your phone, then you could deliver lessons to children through Night Zookeeper, or it could just be a simple message that you want to convey to them. So I'll show you what that looks like in here, so they can hit play and watch the video. Um, okay, let me exit out of that. So then the other things that you can add in here are adding quiz questions. Notice how I've written favorite in American for all those Americans out there. Who is your favorite Night Zookeeper character? And then you do have to, once you've created your quiz, you do have to set the answer that you want children to select. And again, you can have titles on these slides. You will notice now, though, that you're not able to have writing or a drawing or another quiz, because we ask you to just keep one per slide. But you can add a writing task if you wish. And again, you could select from all of those writing types, depending on what the task is that you'd like them to do. If it was a report, for example, you can type that in there, and then you can add word banks, and so on, and those words will appear in the writing tool for the child. So I'll show you what that looks like. If the child hits write, they'll come in here and they'll have to try and use awesome and magical in their work. So again, at the moment, I would suggest that if you're creating these lessons, that they could be, you know, you could set them up for any task that you have at the moment. I would also suggest that if you wanted, another idea that I had suggested to me recently was that if you wanted to send a message out to your whole class, you could just send a single slide lesson like this. You could give it a title. Let's say just like that, so they know that the message is coming from you and you have some tasks for them to do. And again, you could use this to communicate with the children and ask them to do stuff on Night Zookeeper, or it could be an offline task like make a magical animal out of something such as that, and you could add to that note, and then you could send that out to your students. Okay, so that is the lessons portion. If anyone has any questions about that, then again, you can post them in the chat, and I'm sure Griffin and Caitlin will be happy to answer. Now, the other thing that you should know about lessons are that when you have sent them, they will appear on your list here. And you get a status update of how many students have completed each lesson. You can also download the results of a particular lesson. So if I download these results, they come in a spreadsheet format, and they very simply show you the answers that the children have given, what's correct, what's incorrect, and it should also show you the writing, the short writing that they've done, and the long piece of writing that they've done. So you can see there, one student has answered. The green all means that they got that correct. So they got everything apart from one question. So that's a useful tool to use, that results section. Now, I have had a few people recently ask me about what the best way to comment on lessons is. So they get feedback to students on these particular lessons. Now, you can do it in two ways. One would be clicking to launch the lessons page and then going down, and then you can see Reese here has completed the lesson. So you could click on his view and you see the animal, the lesson that he's created in there, the results that he's made. Oh, sorry. Or you can actually get to this from your class blog. So your blog is always linked at the top of your teacher dashboard in there. And when you click on this, you can actually see all of the writing and work that your students are producing. And there is a tab here called Lessons, which when you scroll down, you can see the lesson completed, and there should now be a comment box, which you can then send feedback to the child. They will receive that message and then be able to edit and continue with the lesson based on the feedback that you've given them. So once again, that was just from the lessons tab, and then all the lessons that are completed should be in there for your class to use. Okay, so that pretty much covers lessons. I will just close a few of those. Okay, so back over here to the dashboard. So as well as sending lessons, the other thing that you could encourage children to do is stay connected with each other by leaving feedback. By leaving feedback for each other on the blog. So if they do this, then they will. I will show you actually. So as a student, you could direct children into the blog section, and they get the exact same view that you can see, and they get all of the writing that has been published, so they can go ahead and comment on there. If you wanted to, if you are having a particular time of day that you are working with the kids on Night Zookeeper from home, you can actually manage their activity remotely by using this control your class feature. So for example, if I had a session with my students for an hour today where we're all going to log into Night Zookeeper, I could decide that this was going to be the time where I wanted to just leave the blog open for students. Then if I switch over to the student view, you can see how that control your class feature will lock out all of the other options and leave the blog only for the children to go to. So that would be a way of, getting them in there, reading each other's work, and trying to leave feedback. So for example, you can see how the teacher has fed back there. And as a student, you can leave feedback as well. So that could be a good way of keeping your students connected and working together at the moment. And of course, you can activate as many of these tiles as you wish at any time. So that could be a feature that you could take advantage of at the moment. Now, the other area that I wanted to point out was how you could link up your Night Zookeeper account to parents so you can keep them informed of what is happening on their child side of the website. So for that, you can just hit the settings cog, and then in here you can see there's a parent email function. You can add that in there, and the parents will receive a message. So, for example, when you click to add the parent email, it will bring you up with the message that is sent, so you can see what it says. And it basically will provide them with a link to their child's profile page so they can see their work and they can leave them comments. So if I sorry. Yeah, if I add this and then hit save, that then has like triggered an email to that email address, and that parent will be notified. One other thing to point out on here is that often children may forget their password when they're at home, and you could potentially get emails or messages from parents asking for this password. We don't actually display passwords openly on Night Zookeeper. We keep them encrypted like this. But the best way if you get that request from parents, the best way is to go in and just reset the password quickly, and then make sure you press save afterwards. And that will then reset the password to something you know, and then you can then share that with parents as well. Okay, so the other thing that you need to know, obviously, is what's the best way to receive and review work in your dashboard. The way that I like to work with it is obviously when you have a group of 25 to 30 children that you're working with. I like to work with it in a list, almost like an inbox of work that's coming through, so that you know how much you need to review. So in the Publish Work tab, you're able to give feedback to students and review the various different things that they've been up to. So as you can see, there's a few drawings to publish. We made the Publish All feature on the drawing screen, so that's super simple for you to publish everything all in one go. And then the writing feedback is very simple as well. So you have the piece of writing that the child has submitted. And then down below, you have a generated comment by us, which you can add to if you wish. Or alternatively, you could use the other tools. So we have a way of just giving some quick feedback, which is like a one-liner or a couple of sentences. Or if you're in a rush and you've got 30 to 40 pieces of work to get through and you want to publish them to the blog so that children can see them, you can use the without feedback. So this is the really the quick option for you to use. But I use the with feedback so you can see what happens there. If you hit try again, this will keep it private to the student and ask them to edit and give feedback. If you hit publish, then it's going to put it onto the class blog so that all other children can see it. Okay, so I will publish this one as well. And then again, I left a comment before. An important note about comments: as the children will be at home leaving comments for each other on the blog at the moment, it is very important that you log in from time to time and publish these, because they don't see any comments unless the teacher has approved them. So you will have to hit the approve button. When you have a whole series of comments, you will actually have a publish all button again. So if you scroll through the comments and hit publish all, it can be a very, very quick task. It's only going to take you a few minutes each day to review those. Cool. So that's most of the features on the dashboard. I will go over to the student side to point out a couple of things on there that you can have children work on whilst they're at home. Let me just refresh this. Cool. So, so in here, one thing that I always try to encourage children to do is to go back and review work that they've already started and continue with that. Because very often children will want to just keep creating lots of shorter pieces of writing rather than work on one or two longer pieces. So the way they can do this is just by going into their profile and then scrolling down to view one of their pieces of work, and then they need to press the edit button. They can, of course, see the comments that have been left as well. And then when they hit edit, they'll get through to their writing tool. And they've also got a feature at the bottom here where they can review the comments that you sent. So if you're sending them regular feedback, that's a really quick way for them to access it and then complete their work, hit done. Now at this point, if the student was to press save draft, you wouldn't receive the work. So you could direct children to save their drafts until they are happy to hit save and close. And then that sends the piece of work to you. Now, the other thing that you could be encouraging children to do on here at the moment is use our new writing feature. So we launched this a couple of months ago now, and it's in the write button. We also, we basically put their animals in various different situations and try to challenge them to write stories in these environments. So if you launch this moon adventure story, they're writing on the moon and they get story starters for them to complete as well. So you could challenge them to do a few of those each week. I'll be launching 5 more of those in the coming days as well. And then one more thing to show you, I think. So in the zoo, if you encourage children to just spend 15 to 20 minutes in here each day, they can take challenges, either lessons, or they can go into enclosures and play games or take challenges with their animals. So this one is going to give them a link to the most recent lesson that I sent earlier, so they can take that challenge that has now been sent to them by their animal rather than receiving it from their teacher. Oh, and sorry, one more thing that I've just remembered that I think we can squeeze in before we finish is in the right section. There's also an element where children can record what they're reading. So at the moment, if you wanted to send the children a lesson, challenging them to read a book this week, then you can get them to record what they have read on their reading light. And this is super simple for them to use. They just press add book. And I'll add one of my favorite books, obviously, Night Zookeeper. And they decide if it's fiction or non-fiction, and then they can add an amount of time. I learned and then they can submit that. And you'll notice that this is now being sent to you as their teacher. So this is a really great way for you to keep an eye on what the children are reading whilst they're at home. And again, you get a feed of all of the things that they're reading in your dashboard, just like this, which you can approve, and then they will score points for their game. So again, it's just another extra motivation to keep them reading. Okay, I think I managed to cover most of what I wanted to get through. I hope that if you had any questions, you were able to post them, and we were able to help you. As usual, if you've got any questions or things that we can help with, or maybe lessons that we could make for you, then you can just contact us through the help button in the bottom right of the app. Or you could reach me on email, of course. My email is just paul@nightzookeeper.com, which I think you've all got. Okay, well, that's all for me for today. I might do some more of these webinars in the near future. I'm also trying to explore ways that we could connect potentially with you and your class in some live lesson events as well in the coming weeks. So I'll send some emails about that as well. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining today, and I hope you all stay safe, stay happy, stay well, and I will see you all next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.